Back in March, I talked about a show called Orel, a stop motion show about Christianity and poking fun at hypocrites. Easily my favorite Adult Swim show. But sadly, the series got canceled for its dark themes in 2008. But in November of 2012, the show came back with a special called Beforel Trust. The special is about a 4-year-old Orel and it takes place 8 years before the actual show starts. Anyways, the special begins with Orel with his friends in a playground, and we see Orel constantly hurting himself over and over again. After this, we get to see Blabuda with Coach Topframe, showing us how Shapy was conceived. Of course, this was told to us in the original series, but I'm not exactly sure what was Coach Topframe's goal here, especially when it comes to making a child. I know that he had a thing for Clay, but there was no need for making Shapy. Anyways, 5 weeks passed, and it's revealed that Labuda is pregnant. Clay is surprised and pretty upset about this, since of course he never asked for a second child, nor the fact does he even talk to Labuda. And after this, we see that Miss Sensudal passes by Orel and his friends, and how his friends are making fun of Orel when it comes to how stupid he is. Miss Sensudal is surprised that Orel doesn't know who God is. Clay comes by to pick up Orel. He sends Orel to his grandfather's house for the next 9 months until Shapy is born. And we get to meet Arthur Puppington, who of course is Clay's father. Now, in the show, it was shown to us how abusive Arthur was towards Clay, but he was going to have a bigger role in the 4th season, but that never really came to be due to the show getting canceled. Though in the original show, it is implied that Orel and Arthur definitely still talk to each other, especially after this special.
Say, that's a lot of money for such a small boy.
Grandpa sent it for my birthday. Oh.
We get to see Orel having fun with his grandfather and building a cute bond with him, a very loving bond. And it shows us why Orel is the way he is when it comes to just having such a huge heart, and it's because of his grandfather showing love towards Orel. And it's probably the only family member who gives Orel a full-on hug. After the 9 months pass, Clay finally picks up Orel when Labuda is just about to give birth. After Shapy is finally born, Clay realizes that he still has to take Orel to church to know who God is. During the sermon, Orel asks if God is a lie. Now, Orel only believes in words, so that's why he asked the question. Now, after the sermon is done, Miss Sensudal comes in and tries to scare Orel by telling him that if he doesn't believe in God, he will go to hell. She also mentions how Abraham proved himself to God by killing his firstborn son. After this, we see Clay teaching Orel how to pray and being thankful, but not to mention Grandpa, aka Arthur. Now, while Orel does respect Clay, he still loves his grandfather. Arthur was the first person to show Orel true love, and that explains why Orel is, just so happy-go-lucky. Now, remember how I mentioned how Miss Sensudal talked about Abraham proving himself to God by killing his firstborn son? Well, Orel, being at a young age, he actually takes those words literally, and he plans to go to the church and kill his baby brother, Shapy. Now, before Orel does this, he still writes a letter to his grandfather before going to bed, and in that letter, he mentions that he's going to sacrifice Shapy. Arthur is the only person in Orel's life who cares enough to pay attention to Orel, while Clay is just crying his sorrows away after Blabuda just gave birth to Shapy at the Forgetties bar, and Blabuda is probably resting since he just gave birth to Shapy. Anyways, Orel and his friends go to church to see him sacrifice Shapy so that he can prove himself to God. This isn't until Grandpa Arthur is fast enough to stop Orel from killing Shapy. Now, Orel thinks that God stopped him from killing Shapy through Grandpa. Now, again, he is young, so he doesn't understand what happened. After those events, we see Clay encounter with Arthur after all these years, and giving his reason why he barely talks to Orel, and that's because he has felt worthless. Now, in my original video for Moral Orel, I said that Clay is a very complex villain. Not only is he abusive, but you understand why he is the way he is, and that was because of how Arthur would treat him when he was just a child, and how abusive he was towards Clay, and that's why Clay is also abusive towards Orel. Now, Arthur has a chance to finally, fix things with Clay, but he knows that he messed up. But Orel, after all of these events, after Clay telling him to never love his grandfather, Orel will always love Arthur, showing off how much Arthur means to Orel. And the special ends with Arthur knowing that Orel's heart is too pure to be broken. Overall, this is a very, very well done special. Not only is it a huge step up when it comes to its animation, but the sets are just so high quality. So are the clay models themselves. There is so much to appreciate about this special, not only when it comes to its animation, but overall its story and explaining why Oro is the way he is. It's a very well done special, and I would highly recommend watching it. And honestly, if you have not watched Moral Oro, I think this is a good way of starting off before going into the full series. Overall, I give this special a well earned 9 out of 10. It's a special that reminds me why I love Moral Oro so much, and I would highly recommend watching it. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.